Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing after that excellent lunch? I will try my best to keep you awake during this session. I really enjoy talking about the stuff that I'm going to be getting into very shortly. I promise also that this is the last time of the day that I'm going to take the microphone. I think you've seen way too much of me, more than my own family has. I will take questions at the end of the panel discussion on anything related to the Patent and Trademark Office. You are clients of mine. You people actually file Patent and Trademark Office issues in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. 50% of my applications are from overseas. So I enjoy coming out and talking to you a little about what's going on at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. What happens there has a tendency to overflow in other countries and in other areas, so I think some of it you might find very interesting. You are aware that I have been at the Patent and Trademark Office for 30 years or so and have held many of the different positions. Only in the past 2 am I the Commissioner for Patents and Trademarks. So I was an examiner for many years and held many other posts there as well. But what you don't know is that I have a long history of patents in my bloodline. My father is a patent attorney. My wife was the Washington representative for the World Intellectual Property Organization. My brother is in the solicitor's office. His wife is a hiring partner at Finnegan and Henderson. My other sister was electronic toys. Her husband is a partner at Nixon and Vanderhei. My other brother did golf club handles. Believe it or not, we have enough applications that one person handles golf club handles. So when something goes amiss at the Patent and Trademark Office, I not only hear it from the constituents here and in the United States, I hear it on the telephone at night in my own house. My brothers and sister call me up and say, "You're doing this wrong." So I do try to get it right. First, I wanted to talk about the keys to success. Now, I'm the Commissioner for Patents, so I'm only going to stick to the patent area in the Patent and Trademark Office. I have a budget of approximately $1.5 billion a year. I have about 7,000 examiners. We're a quite large organization. I take in probably 500,000 applications a year. With all of that, as was talked about by my dear friend, the head of the India Patent Office, I have a backlog. I've got a huge backlog. I have probably 708,000 applications that are pending, that have not been treated, and counting those that are in process, probably 1.2 million. So there are a lot of applications I've got to work off. I've got to find ways of reducing my backlog. Now, I have been very transparent about my needs. I need full access to the fees collected. And in order to do that, what I have to do is actually pump out these actions. And to do that, I need examiners. So if I have full access to my fees, I intend to hire 1,500 examiners this year and 1,500 examiners next year. So I'm looking at massive numbers of examiners. It takes a few years to get them up to speed. But we're really trying to hit the backlog. My most valuable asset are the people working with me. I think the examiners at the Patent and Trademark Office are very interested and talented people. As you heard earlier today, we're trying to promote a culture of change at the Patent and Trademark Office. That's my biggest initiative. I want our examiners to collaborate with inventors. You also heard about interviews being an extremely important aspect from one of the speakers earlier today. I've authorized now for the examiners to call the applicants prior to mailing out a first office action to see if they can't discuss allowable subject matter. So there are many steps we're taking to try to work things and move them forward in another better manner. We are also looking to work globally to see if we can't find solutions, and I've got some creative movements that we're undertaking right now. This main topic here is dealing with mostly enforcement. One of my earlier jobs was the Director of Enforcement at the Patent and Trademark Office. I handled it for 5 years. So I can tell you that one of the things we do is help train folks on their obligations with respect to TRIPS and provide educational. The articles that I dealt with were Articles 40 through 61, mostly your enforcement articles in your TRIPS obligations. We do talk about the flexibilities, just so I'm not actually charged with not being fair and balanced on our discussions. The areas we look at are enforcement, geographical indications. We have worked with Indian biotech and pharmaceutical patent examiners in exchanges with the Indian Patent Office. We also have done long-term exchanges where we've taken folks in and tried to train them on how we handle things in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. We also have 7 attachés distributed around the world in areas that we think makes a lot of sense. One of them is in Delhi. So we have a full-time person at the embassy in Delhi who handles intellectual property issues. That was Dominic Keating. He's recently come back to the Patent and Trademark Office. We now have a lady there named Ms. Redding who is handling those issues for us. We are looking to collaborate on global issues. We are looking to partner. I need to get applications through quickly, so I'm looking for any mechanism I possibly can to get these applications treated in an effective manner, but out the door more quickly. So one of the initiatives that we are looking at is harmonization. We think it's a ripe time to talk about areas where we can collaborate. Mr. Sabharwal had a whole discussion about harmonization earlier, but we think it makes a lot of sense to reduce costs, to provide efficiencies, to provide quality actions, and to actually work together to see that we're not duplicating efforts around the world. We think it's an extremely important issue. In March of this year, we invoked a convocation of APEC countries to discuss harmonization issues. Tabled was a paper that included several issues, and that the paper itself was drafted by renowned experts from across the world, including Gao Lulin from China, Jeffrey Yu from Singapore, who used to be at WIPO, and several others, to come up with issues they thought were ripe for harmonization. And these were the ones that we're actually believing we can move forward with. First to file, I think that pertains to the United States only at this point. We do have legislation pending that I expect to be enacted soon that would move us in this direction. Grace period, novelty, inventive step non-obviousness, prior art and secret prior art, elimination of the Hilmer Doctrine, that's again a U.S. issue, pre-grant submission by third parties, and disclosure requirements. We are in discussions with many countries now to see if we can't find ways to move forward and actually discuss these issues in an international forum, leading to discussions at WIPO and a possible agreement amongst the many different countries. This would not raise the level of requirement with respect to TRIPS. What it would do, it would familiarize all of us with each other's practices and allow work done in one office to be used more efficiently in other offices. Now, one of the means we're moving forward with that is work sharing. And we've got different ways of sharing work across the world. We have several that I've listed here: the Patent Prosecution Highway, PCT PPH pilots, shares, which are basically governments working together to move applications that are similar in their jurisdictions, PCT and the IP5 foundation projects. What I'm trying to do is speed actions and reduce work. So let me talk about our PPH program. I currently have 15 bilateral agreements with other governments, with other countries, with other offices, 15 of them. And what happens there is we have an Office of First Filing and an Office of Second Filing. The Office of First Filing does the search and examination. Upon indication of allowable subject matter in the Office of First Filing, notice is sent to the Office of Second Filing. That application is amended to conform to the allowable subject matter in the Office of First Filing, and that application shoots through in an accelerated process in the Office of Second Filing. Currently, we have 5,400 applications that are in this process. We expect a total of 8,000 by the end of this fiscal year, which is October 1. This is a really interesting program. I want you to note the allowance rates in those applications, double that of the commonly filed utility application in the United States. Also, very, very important, the actions per disposal are significantly reduced. Many of you are probably aware of the costs of doing consecutive actions. So that's an extremely important savings for you too. Now, as I said, there will be significant cost reductions. The quality of these applications is being measured by all the offices, and it is deemed at least equal, if not better, than those going through normal processing. And the speed of examination, as you saw, by having the reduced actions per disposal, is significantly less. In the future, our next iteration, 2.0, we're already looking about how to improve it. It will take an office action from any of the 15 member states to actually move the action forward in another office. So we are looking to improve the system so it doesn't need to be the search and examination of the first office action. It can be the search and examination of any that are members. Now, a further piece that's not included in these slides is that I'm seeing very few divisional and continuing applications coming from these applications. So we're seeing probably around 7% continuations, which indicates to me that applicants are pretty happy with the scope of claim coverage they're getting in these allowed applications. I think this is a very, very important mechanism for moving forward, and I think that there are a lot of other jurisdictions that should avail themselves of this capability. We're willing to share our information with anyone who's interested. I want to talk now about another new novel area that we're looking at the Patent and Trademark Office. Frequently, applicant wants to control the speed of their applications. Now, I know right now we're currently way too slow for anybody anywhere, but we've got ways of changing the mechanisms for moving things forward. We're looking at 3 tracks. Track 1 is a go fast, track 2 is the current standard track, and track 3 is go slow. Track 1 was to be implemented on May 4. We'd already got it in place when we found that we were having a diversion of $100 million going to the General Treasury instead of coming to the Patent and Trademark Office. Because I'm not able to put the resources into track 2 to make sure that track 1 doesn't take away from the current time period of track 2, we have postponed that indefinitely. But that's a very sad event because I think it's an extremely important mechanism for allowing applicant to control the speed of their application through the office. Some folks want their patents very, very quickly, particularly those in computer software where the life of a patent really is 5 years. I know the term is 20 from filing date, but it seems to be not useful much after 5 years, where the pharmaceuticals like it at the tail end. So they're happy to wait until they get FDA approval or actually to take their time in processing their applications. Track 1, we were promising disposition within 12 months. That's from filing in the Patent and Trademark Office to allowance or final action. We are actually proposing a significantly higher fee, as I said, to offset the amount of monies that would be needed to make sure track 2 went in that area. And there are other existing prioritization programs, including green technology and project exchange, but this is the mechanism that I think most folks would be wanting to use. The filings would have to be done on or after the date of enactment, which would have been May 4th. It says here that the track 1 may have had an upper limit, and in fact did. It was going to be 10,000 applications. If they all came in one area, how was I going to be able to get the applications out? So I actually needed to be able to make sure that the examiners had the resources available to move them. We were initially going to limit it. It would have to be filed electronically, and it would have to contain no more than 4 independent and a total of 30 claims. So now it looks like they've already changed. Implementation looks like it's going to occur October 3rd. That's the new calendar or the new fiscal year for the Patent and Trademark Office. Track 3 is also very interesting. I allow you to park your application for 30 months without paying your search and examination fees. So what that allows you to do is think about it. You've got time to decide whether you want to engage in search and examination. Now, I require all of those applications to have publication at 18 months. I don't think we want to reintroduce the submarining issue. The reason we weren't ready to implement that is it was brought to our attention that there may be competitors who want to find out whether that subject matter is going to eventually get a patent. So we've got to figure out ways to actually move those applications if a competitor so deems, and figure out who pays for the search and the examination if it's the competitor who wants the actual examination to occur. So we're looking at that now to see how to apportion the costs of doing that, because we think it's rational to give the competitor some sort of certainty if there is a specific issue in there. The date is uncertain. We're not sure we're going to move it forward, but we are sure we're going to do it. Why? I expect that in this area, allowing people to think about whether they want to examine stuff is going to cause a dropout. Some people will come to the time period and decide, I don't need to pay the search and examination on this application. I'm expecting a dropout in track 3 of 15 to 20%. That's that many applications that my examiners don't have to spend time on that you guys really don't want anyway. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, and we are very excited to move forward with track 3. I'm telling you all of the things you need to know. You can read this in my slides if you want, but I think it's very important. At the end of the 30 months, you must require affirmatively search and examination and pay the fees. Now, there are no other significant requirements with respect to that, and that is true with track 1 as well. Track 1, you don't have to do your own search. You don't have to make any averments that are very unpleasant to make. You actually just pay your fee and you move forward. So I think these are interesting mechanisms for moving applications through a system. And I think that track 2 will become the default track upon which we will measure our pendency. Now, it was stated earlier that we are 34 to 36 months. That's true. But with the hirings that I anticipate, and if I'm allowed to make them, we expect to be at 10 months to first action pendency by 2014 and 20 months total pendency by 2015. So that's already in our models, and that's available on our website, and you can play with it and see what factors affect the pendency the most. These are extremely important tools for reducing pendency. We're testing the waters. If this system doesn't work, we'll try something else, but we are very excited and we think this is a good opportunity. Now, in addition to those techniques that we're using to accelerate applications or to delay them, we are looking at several other things. We're working with the JPO and the EPO in re-engineering the classification system. We believe that the systems need to be homogeneous, they need to be interchangeable, and that will allow work to move more seamlessly through the different areas, to rely on subject matter that goes through the different areas. So there is a major initiative now with all of the different offices looking to find a single unified mechanism for actually classifying. We are doing 2 types of re-engineering at the Patent and Trademark Office. I have one entire team looking at each step of the patenting process to see whether it's needed or not, and whether it needs to be modified. And so we're looking at each step to see how long it takes, whether we can improve it, what we need to do, whether we can drop it, anything. The second step is even more interesting. We're looking at taking the entire process into an electronic medium, right from the beginning, from entry into the Patent and Trademark Office to the end, electronic publishing, never making paper any time during the processing. And I think that's very important. We've just initiated e-petition. I have several petitions now, all of these that are listed, that are now automatically done. We are looking for more of our petitions to go electronically. We're trying to see what we can do to move things. We also have a significant initiative with respect to quality. It's been an issue at the Patent and Trademark Office, measuring it, determining it, how to do it. I am shifting all of my resources to the first office action and still maintaining the amount at allowance that actually provide me with a statistical relevant decision as to whether or not the allowances are legitimate or not. But I'm moving it up front for many reasons. First of all, I was hearing from clients that you were not getting complete and thorough first actions, and I think that's critical. I also think it's very critical to measure the search. The search is actually what determines the basis for a very good action. But we have an entire sheet that we've put together with input from our user community to make a determination as to which factors to look at in these early searches. I also noticed that I was getting an artificially depressed allowance rate. When I was charging only at allowance, the examiner was avoiding allowance, so that they were actually churning or they were trying to force applicants into refiling RCEs or continuing applications, and I didn't want that happening. So I think that this has a dual purpose of giving you a more complete first office action and actually encouraging people to do what's right, to find early allowable subject matter. These are the measures that we're going to be using with respect to the applications coming in. I'm charging the attorneys also with coming in with a better product. So not only will I be surveying the attorneys for the actions they're getting for the Patent and Trademark Office, I'm going to be surveying the examiners to see whether or not the actions are coming in are improper idiomatic English, for example, or if there are other problems with the actual scope and mechanism of practicing before the Patent and Trademark Office. So I think it's everybody's responsibility to have a quality action so we don't actually have bad patents going out the door. Conclusions. I'm going to tell you that collaboration is our highest priority. It is the most important function of the Patent and Trademark Office. I'm doing federal rules continually. I am actually putting notices out in the Federal Register. We're doing roundtables on issues of patentability, of quality. We are intending to do some. It looks like our next ones are going to be on re-exam, which I think is desperately in need of overhaul at the Patent and Trademark Office. There will be roundtables and requests for input. The next one coming after that are going to be restriction practice. The United States Patent and Trademark Office is looking at a unity of invention standard, and we're going to be proposing that and seeing what the public thinks we should be doing with respect to moving in that direction. So our work with each other is extremely important. We want to keep a dialogue open. You too can respond with respect to these Federal Register notice, or drop me a note if there's an issue that you think that we can do something about. We pay attention to our user communities, and it's making a great improvement. Thanks for your time, and if you have questions at the end, I'm more than happy to take them. Thank you very much.